Welcome back to Dallas Twang. I'm Dave. Wanted to work with you a little bit more this week on this motif business. Okay, and we're in D major this time. And, little bit of, okay, for the last hour and a half, I have been out planting a tree, just, a sapling, a crabapple tree out front. And this thing's probably about as tall as I am. It comes in a box, from FedEx, from another state. It's kind of interesting. It's in really good shape. It looks really good. But, got one of those metal rings and, the front yard's a slope. And so I'm trying to, do a little leveling and digging it out and getting that all set up. And where we live, you can't just go out and dig a hole in the ground. You need like a rock breaker and a pickaxe. And, it's brutal, right? And this thing had to be 18 inches deep or something or whatever. Anyway, I've been banging literally my hands, on the ground with metal, tools for like an hour and a half. So I might have some delayed, synapses, in my left hand or something when we're doing this. But I wanted to get it done. I did that intro earlier and I really liked it. And then I also had said that we were going to get this tree done today, so I made sure we were getting it done. Before we get into the motif stuff and just do some soloing on this, and it should just be, it's a real pretty sounding thing. I wanted to show you something about this backing track. It's been mostly a D chord, and we're in D major throughout this little loop. But this is kind of a technique of just walking this bass down that a lot of classic songs and stuff do. It'd be hard to even name all the songs that do this stuff in different keys. Guitar parts of classic rock. Originally, it was probably more like piano moves or something, whatever. So, but here's a real simple way to do it for D major. Okay, and pick whatever strings you want, really. I mean, you can play the exact same picking pattern or something different, So those first four, shapes, these two are down the whole time, right? The little parts of this D. I'm not really using the high E string. So the bass then is going, right? Then after that, it goes to, and still all kind of sounds like D to me, like the walking thing, but this is a G, and then you go to that final one, or the final one's an A, but the next one down is like a D with the F sharp in the bass, right? So it's, so far you got. And that last part is just that you leave that D down on the B string, and so it's like an A sus4. Okay, and I'm sure that reminds you of a lot of tunes, and sometimes that's like the main riff, and then there's like a whole, other sections and progressions mixed in there. On this loop, the one that you'll have on this attached here, it's just that part looped over and over. And so, gives us a chance to really have something that's moving where stuff's going on, with the sounds a little bit like changes, but we can stay in that one major key, D major, and you can't really go wrong. And so here's what happens if you just kind of warm up with the D major scale and D major pentatonic. okay, it wasn't going to go that long there. Um, but this feels good. I like this kind of rotational, cascading feeling of that. Something's always changing, but something's always kind of the same in there, right? And that really puts you in a interesting musical space, right? You can kind of just keep, and here's the getting into the motif part. You can keep kind of riffing on your D melody, like right out of that scale, right? And but tasty notes will be ones that, like, sometimes I notice at the end there, I'm ending on E at the end of the thing, right? Because that's part of an A chord. That's that fifth in that A, right? It's some hit note, whatever, good note in relation to everything that's in there, right? But so that's where your ear comes in. It's just you select that, whether you are like tracking it and doing theory in your head while you're playing or not. Your musical mind and ear is selecting where you hang out, where you stop, where you lead, how you end it, right? And so what I do a lot is I play what I'll loosely refer to as motifs. I play like kind of a pattern, like a rhythmic pattern of scale notes over something like this. And then when it goes to the G and the A, I might play more of like a run or something to kind of, tie it together, right? I know that sounds pretty, abstract, but check this out. I'll wait for the top of it so we can get the. Now, in all fairness, if you're hearing that and you're watching it and with what you've got going on to process that, you're like, I would just copy that. I would just somebody needs to write that down and tab it out, and I like that, so I would just do that. Yeah, okay. And I want to be understanding about this and fair about the stuff about the tabbing and not tabbing and so forth. It's not a good or bad argument. It's just that there's so many individual choices being made in something like what you just saw, that even though I'm doing it as an act of communication, right? I'm not just playing for myself and doing whatever I want right now exactly. I'm doing something to back up what I'm talking to you about, right? But it's so individualized that I really encourage you to just start looking for some kind of sequence of notes and then moving your hand and playing the same rhythmic or kind of shaping aspect of it using other notes. And going across those first few measures of that D with the changing bass note is the perfect opportunity to explore this. Let me slow it down and do something even more distilled. Okay, this is more example than it is explaining like what's going on here, right? Because I could say, oh, we're going to play and we're starting on the blah, the two, then we're going to the down, then skipping a note, you know, using that scale and a lot of adjacent notes, and then kind of moving down, up or down the scale, and playing the same kind of um, arrangement of two or three notes in different parts of the scale. Okay. And the rest of it will unpack itself and reveal it to you according to your own choices. But I think that's a good, demonstration of it. If there's one thing that I would do differently about the piece that I just played for you, is I moved up and down in position a lot more than you would really have to, right? And it got kind of clunky. It got kind of like, I was down here fishing around and stuff, whatever. It could be more like this. Okay. Right now, I'm modeling what this video is about more than talking about it. Okay. And if you if you hear that, if it feels good to you, you can go back and you can kind of look at, all right, there's an idea. Let me get that one little thing that he did there and kind of build on that. But that's as far as it goes with the copying. Start building it for yourself, right? This will work, okay? This isn't just, somebody that's more experienced, kind of, not caring how you get there or whatever, right? It's more, my honest belief, it's a more honest way, it's a more believable way, from my perspective, to get into this kind of sound than if I just showed you, a string of stuff and we copied it. Okay. So do with it whatever makes sense for you. But I guess the reason that I keep doubling down on that is for encouragement. Trust yourself when you're doing something like this. Slow down. And the minute you start judging it in your mind and thinking like, it doesn't sound like, it doesn't sound cool, doesn't sound, stop it. Remember the old Bob Newhart thing? Just stop it. It's hard to do. It's hard to stop it. It's hard to stop your mind about a lot of things, not just guitar judgment. But stop it, right? Get into what feels good about it, right? And keep going in that direction. And when you start to drift back into the nonsense or whatever, do the same thing again. Okay, sounds like somebody else is out beating tools on the ground now. I guess that's what we're going to do here. I'll summer in Missouri. Go out here and beat on the ground. Try to make something grow. Okay. Appreciate everybody on here so much. This is so much fun to get on here and hear the comments and questions and everything. And leave some comments. If you have time. It's just, I don't know. It's just, it helps me track like what everybody wants to do and what's going on with you. And it's fun. I really enjoy it. So thank you for everything. Let me know how this one goes. Talk to you next week.